What's up? All right. So today I'm going to cut it a little short, like half an hour instead of an hour. But all I want to do is take the homepage, duplicate it to create the agencies list, and then update some of the, we'll have to update the Airtable info where it pulls from, and then update some of the card to be specific to agencies. And that's it. And I think it'll be a nice, concise, wrapped up package. And then I've got to go 1:30 my time. So if I have extra time, I'll talk about some of my plans for the future with this live stream. I've got some clarity. And if I run out of time, I'll talk about it next time. So for this, to start, so let me just set the stage, I guess. Let's go to the current live agencies list. And so you can see it looks exactly like the homepage with these cards, and except it's listing agencies, and they look very similar to the software cards with the image, the name, some type of tagline or description, and a link. And then for the agencies, they're actually listing if they have specializations in any of the tools. You can see the logos there, or and also on the left, instead of being filtering by category, like on the software list, we're filtering by specialization. So these are actually different software that you can see, you know, how many people specialize in card or how many agencies specialize in card, and they're all here. So I'm going to create that, and it should be actually really fast because we already did this all for the homepage. So I'm just switching a few things. And then depending on, like in the future, I might add to this, but for now, actually I won't. For now, we'll just recreate and go for that. So to start, I have a couple choices. I can start a blank page, include the header and footer component. Then because like everything else has been built, it's still really easy to pull stuff in. Like I pull that Airtable action in, etc., etc. But also I could just duplicate this homepage, which is what I'm going to do. So if I'm selected on the homepage and I duplicate, just call it agencies list. Whoops, kind of tricky to grab. Let me move the homepage out of the way. Uh-oh, froze up on me. Oh, there it goes. All right, so I'll put the agencies list down here. And the first thing I can do, just almost so I don't forget, is set up a URL route to it. What's going on? Sorry, I got a little stuck for a second. I'm just going to wait a minute. Or I'll just refresh. I think I mentioned before that only happens on Livestream. It's crazy. Like I was just in here going through and making sure everything was set up for this and didn't see any of that. All right, here we go. It didn't say where I moved that page, so let me try to move it quick. There we go. And URL routes. So I'm just going to create a new one, the route / agencies, and then whether you're signed in or not signed in to no code list, I want you to see this agencies list. So I just set both those pages to agencies list. And now that route works. So now it would look like the homepage, but it would work. And then I can come in here and just start changing some of this stuff up. So the first thing I'll do is update the quick things, like these labels that are quick. We got something a little special in here. You can see where I put a tiny span inside of the display text of this headline. What I did there, I don't think I did this live actually. I think I just did this one day, but what I did there is I created a class on something else, probably like on this whole element called highlighted, I believe, where it puts the black highlight and then makes the text yellow. And then I checked the ID of that class I created. So I removed it. I didn't need it on there, but I used the ID just like Builder would use it. And so in the display text here, I wrapped a span around the word, originally around the word software on the homepage, but now around the word agencies. And I can just say class equals CSS under and the ID of that class. So that's kind of a little hack, or it's not even really a hack, just a little trick, which gets me that kind of inline style inside of an H2. In the future, that'll be, they'll be like in the UI, so I can actually select that, highlight the text I want to select it. Or if I were using a rich text element, it's almost what it does. But for now, I did it like this. So anyway, change that to agencies, change this label. It's no longer categories. It's I think I wrote specialization. The reason I almost said a second ago that I might switch this up is because I don't really like. Oh, it's weird. Oh, I changed the element name instead of display text. I don't really like how if you are a general no-code agency, you wouldn't mark any of those as specialization maybe, or if you did, you would mark like every software. But at the same time, like, and that's valid, but at the same time, it's not fair if another company specializes in Airtable and someone needs an Airtable site, they're going to click filter by Airtable. And so it's like, I need the general ones to come up too. Kind of a predicament. So what it was leading me to is maybe I'll do something a little different than the specialization. Maybe like I've built a project in ... and you can select only if you can prove you build projects. Who knows? But I almost mentioned it and then I stopped because it's too complex and pointless for now. So for now, I'm going to keep it just like how it is. I'm going to mirror this. So specialization, and we'll list the tools there, I mean. So I think that's that. And then this would be search for agencies as a label. And I did an element name again, so let me just do both these places. Now what I'll do, so I have two next steps that are kind of combined. I need to update this Airtable, or this grid, to pull the new Airtable data, the different Airtable data. But the other thing I need to do is this is using each row of this collection, of this grid, is using this page, this card page, which I believe is right here. And this card page is for software. So it's using the variable names from the software table, etc. So what I actually want to do before I link everything up as the last step here is duplicate this as well. Card agencies. And if I were doing this in code, I might actually keep this as a single page and do something in here where I say, like, if it's coming from the homepage, do one thing. If it's coming from agencies, do another. Sort of like separate it with code, but keep that main block so that it's fully updatable in the future and kind of like one source of truth. But in Builder, I don't have to do that because it's so easy to keep things updated and it keeps itself in sync. So I find that in Builder, in this case, I'll just create a duplicate. It's so much easier. And then changing the visuals is style, so that applies universally, but doing the little things to update what's inside of these cards is so trivial that it's much more beneficial for me to keep it simple and separated. Anyway, so let me just move this down. And so I'll change this grid element here, this list of cards is reading right now, it's using the row page card. I'll just switch that to card agencies. But it's all the same because I duplicated it. So everything still looks the same, everything's still set up the same. And now let's pull in this new table data. So I have this list of cards, which in Builder could be bound to data if it's coming from like a Builder data collection. But in my case, instead of binding it that way, I do something slightly different where it loads in with nothing. And one of the first thing we run is get Airtable data. And that get Airtable data calls to the Airtable API and pulls that data into the grid element here, the list of cards. And so these Airtable elements, or these Airtable actions, I'm sorry, they came from a pattern originally that is freely available. So you can just pull it into your project in Builder, which gives you kind of like a wrapped up Airtable API. So you don't have to know anything about the API. You don't have to know how to use APIs. You can just drop this action on Airtable get table data and set into element. and then set some things like your API key, the base ID, the table name, etc. And these choices, these input arguments, they're documented in the pattern workspace itself. So you can actually reference that pattern you pulled in to know how to find these things. So it's kind of this self-contained environment. But what it amounts to is, without doing anything extra except saying I want Airtable, pattern coming in this project, just by doing that, I get access to use Airtable data as if it were builder data, and it's pretty robust. So I did all that previously for the homepage, and now all I have to do is come in here and update some of these values to read from the other table. So Airtable API key is going to stay the same, and that's a secret. That's why it's not revealed to me here, and it'll never be revealed in the browser. Airtable base ID is going to be different. I think Airtable base ID is going to be the same, because the way I have no code list Airtable base set up is I have the main software list as a tab, the submissions as a tab, resources as a tab, etc. So this no-code agencies list is the one that I'm actually going to be pulling in, and it's the same base ID. This is all the same Airtable project. So this stays the same here. And then this Airtable table name, that's what's going to change. So originally I was pulling from no-code software list, which is this one. Now I'm just going to pull no-code agencies list. And I just typed that out as is, spaces and everything. I could copy and paste to be sure, but because if I type this name wrong, it won't find the data. But that was easy enough to just do. So that's good there. It's going to update the same element. Now this element is called main software list. So if I want to be extra correct, I'll come in here and change this to main agencies list, but that's just a label. That really didn't matter. And then offset variable is this little setup that's in here for if you have more than 100 Airtable API calls. Airtable limits you, paginates. So this just handles that, and I don't need to change anything there. So that should be good for that. Then we just need to handle these categories, which is another quick thing like this, and then I'll test. And so this specialization, this software, originally what it does, or what the homepage did, reads in the software 100 rows at a time, because that's how Airtable makes you do it. And so every time it'll get 100 rows with one action, then it does this condition where it compares. It says, are there more pages? That's basically what this means. And I went over that in an earlier live stream. Are there more pages? If so, run the action again. And if not, run this action to create the categories. And so what it'll do is it'll pull in all the data into that list of cards. And then we have an action, again, that comes with the Airtable pattern that creates a list on the left side of categories or specializations based on the cards that are on the page already. So I wait until all the pages are loaded, and if all the pages are loaded, I run create categories. And create categories, again, it's just this action that comes with the pattern, but that will look at, it'll take whatever field, whatever column in Airtable we specify. So in the main list, I took categories. It'll take that categories field, and it'll go through each of these cards, and if it has a category, it'll put it in that list that we're creating on the left, and it will not add duplicates. So if 6 of them have the category websites, it'll only put in the list once. Then it alphabetizes the list, and then it sets it into an element. So it does kind of a lot of things in a simple action, but it's perfect because in this case, instead of categories, I want specialization. So in theory, I'm just going to change the column name, and this will just work for this other data. But a disclaimer is I've never tried that actually, so it might not. And also the specializations are like a linked table in Airtable, so there's a good chance actually it might not, but we'll see what happens. So point of explaining all that is to come in here to this create categories and just reset some of these values, and then we'll test. So the first thing is I have Airtable get filter options and set into element. So the first choice I have is where to get the Airtable data from, and I want to get it from the elements in this grid, in this list of cards. So I go current page, and then I choose it. I choose list of cards, main agencies list. And then the field that I want to take, let's see what it's called. So I want to do software. It's not, it might be software IDs here because I can see this has the words instead of actual IDs, but that might not be right. It might be this one, software names. I'm not actually sure what this is going to be. Like this one. Yeah, it might be this one, software names. That's what I'll try. So these are special Airtable columns where like these, the data in these rows is linking to another table. And then I have a special field that looks into that linked table and finds the name and outputs it here. And so I don't know if this is going to work. This actually might not because categories is a different style field, but I'm just going to try it. So that was called, I already forget, software names. And again, I can just write this out like that, spaces and all. And then what I want to do is I want to set that data into this list of rows categories, which I'll rename to list of rows specializations. And so thinking back, I now realize that this is not the same kind of field. I actually don't think this is going to work on this side, but I do think this original data is going to come in. So let's give it a shot. And I can just live view, because I added that route in the beginning, it shows up here. I could go to the home page and navigate, but I'll just go right to it. So far I can see it worked. But remember, we used this card that was made for software. So I will need to go update this card. So I can see the data's here. These are the agencies, but not everything's showing up correctly. Oh, and another interesting thing I see right now is this is pulling in. So what I forgot, it's slightly different. The way that you flag an agency to go live on the site is slightly different. So this is pulling in all, like anything that's in that table. So this one doesn't have data. And that's probably just like at the bottom down here or somewhere else where it doesn't have data. Because this agencies list is a little different. It includes all the submissions go directly onto this list, and then they don't go live on the site until I check the verified checkbox. So I actually have to set the Airtable stuff here to say only if verified equals checked. And I think I can do that in the, I think it's built in already in this action, but if it's not, I'll just do this later. So I'm gonna, yeah, I think I can do it. I have to use the filter by formula, which means I actually have to pop open the original code from the no code list. Oops. In here, sorry, this wasn't set up for the live stream, so I'm just clearing some out. So if I put this here, I think you can see that now. And then in here, this is done in kind of a wild way. So let me just find where I do the agencies call. Here we go. All right, filter by formula, verified equals 1. And so the reason I just went and copied and pasted this is because I just needed this little snippet, but it's in like Airtable's filter by formula format, which I didn't know and I didn't feel like looking up and stuff. But really that's what I need. I need verified equals 1. And so by adding that to the flag, we should now get just the correct ones. Guess not. I'll check into what's going on there off the live stream, just because I'm in a little bit of a rush. Not a rush, but all right. So let's go set up these cards, and we'll ignore these ones that are blank for now. But something around that, either that filter was wrong, or maybe I need to escape it. I just never tested that before. So all right, I'll go to this card agencies page. What I have now on here is all for the software, and most of it's the same, but some of it's a little different. So I can just look down through the left. Not all this is visible right now because it shows conditionally, but I've got a showcase link, which I'm actually going to keep that in case in the future I do a showcase for agencies, because that would make a lot of sense. So I'm going to actually keep that. but I won't ever show it for agencies. I'll just keep it hidden. And then image and title is pretty much the same, image and then title. And it looks like it's working too, image and then title. And then description looks like it's working and it's the same. It's right there, right there. And even website looks like it's working. So this is all blank and I can see it's getting replaced with the real data, which means all that really means I use the same column name and it's just working. But if it didn't work, I would go and find what I called website and change the column name. But I actually purposely did them in the same format because originally I did this in code and I knew I'd be in the same situation. So URLs good, extras. Endorsements and stacks don't exist for agencies, and affiliate links don't really exist either. So I'm going to delete those. And then categories, I think I output them. Oh, that's where these images come. So that'll be a little different, but I'll keep it there for now. All right. So actually, I really don't need to do that much that's different because most of this stuff is showing up as a conditional. So like this showcase link just won't show up automatically because it's saying if there's a value present for the showcase link column, show this. But there's not a showcase link column, so it'll never happen. Same with some of these other ones like endorsements and stacks. Categories will change a little. It's just showing up blank right now, but that might change. But really what that comes down to is I just need to remove a couple actions for just for organization. Like I don't have to actually remove them. If you have an action on the side here and it's not being used, no big deal. It's not being used. It never even comes into your live project. So actually, now that I'm saying that, maybe I just won't remove these right now. There's no real reason to, and there's certainly no real reason to show it live. You know, it's just hitting here and hitting delete this action group. So actually, I think I'll just keep that there, and then let's just look at the categories. See how I set this up. So right now, this is a collection, and it's coming. So it's like a set of multiple things, and it's coming from a variable called categories. And I can just go through really quick how that works. Is categories in Airtable is this multiple select field. So each of these things is like its own choice, you know, and I have this list of master categories there. So that type of field, when it comes into Builder, just because this is how I made the pattern, that type of field will come in as a JSON array, as key value pairs. And it says, just in this case, for the names, it would say, this one would be value websites. This next one would be value blockchain. This next one would be an array with two objects, value data and databases, value integrations. And that's how they come in, and that's how that's why this list over here didn't work, because it was expecting that format. It wasn't in this format. So the categories are the same way on the homepage. They take like a grid element and they read that JSON, they load it in. But I don't need that in this case, maybe, because I have a few things. One thing I have, one thing I have is this software names column, which I can't edit it because it's a formula. It's like a special field, but like this is like a string basically with a comma already in it. So I could basically just output this into a text box and it would probably show up like this with the correct, name, comma, and no comma at the end. But on the live list, I actually am showing a picture, a list of images. So I don't know what this software images would give me if I pull this value from Airtable. If I like display it, I don't know if this is going to be a list of key value pairs, or I don't know if it's going to be a string of IDs. I have no idea. So one thing is I won't try it live just because I don't know. But the other thing is, depending on how that's set up, I just need to go in and convert it to how I want. So since I made the Airtable pattern, I'll do this universally. If that's like a weird thing that I can handle, I'll go handle it so no one has to think about it in the future. But if I didn't create that pattern, I would come into the dev library here in Builder, and I'd actually be able to find, like if I search for Airtable here, I can see all these Airtable actions. They're contained within my project. So I can actually go in here. I mean, you have to know code a little bit. It's straightforward JavaScript, but you do have to know a little bit of code. But I would actually go in and just edit it. And so the point of me saying that is that you don't get stopped. So even if I were building this as a real live project, I had the agents, I had the software list going, and I had users, and it was live. And then I wanted to add an agencies list, and I ran into this, and I was like, oh, the Airtable, this little nuance isn't set up for my Airtable column. It's not a problem. I would definitely be able to keep going. So I think that's kind of a cool opportunity to mention that. But today, I'm not going to keep going. And I might even go in there and try out a little bit of that because it could be really quick if I had more time, but I would like to stop in 5 minutes. So instead, I'm going to stop there. Oh, I'll do one last thing just to round this out, which is set the menu link so that I can just go here in the future, but then I'll end it. So if I come in, I'm just looking at this header here, and I have a menu option container, and I have a link in here for agencies. I can just come into the properties, and in the href, just enter agencies. And I started with a slash because if I were on another page, like if I'm on one of these software pages, sorry, taking a sec. And the URL, oh, I forgot, you can't see these URLs. And the URL looks like this. If I didn't write that slash first, if I just wrote agencies for this link, it would try to go to a link like this, which is not correct. Or maybe it would add the slash there, I don't know. But if I do add the slash, it's like saying root/agencies. So then it will go to the correct link, which is that. All right, let me just pop this back in there. Okay, set that to agencies. And then I know also I needed to do this for a little while, because this software link was not set. Oh, that is set. Maybe I did it and forgot. All right, so that should be good there. So I can test that just by clicking agencies, and it works. Cool, so that's that. And what I'll do, I don't need to do a live, I don't think, but what I'll do next is that exact same thing for stacks and that exact same thing for resources. And then those are pretty much done. I mean, I'm really pretty much done with this site. Like, I'm going to go beast it out after this, since I'm going to move the live stream to a new topic. But like, this site is pretty much all there. There's nothing major that's left. Even the members and the profiles all like started in place. So now it's like a matter of just going and filling out all those details, making sure all the styles are perfect, making sure, I don't have like title tags and stuff filled out. So there's still, I guess, a lot more to do, but function wise or big item wise, there's really nothing else left. I have the bulk of it here. So it's kind of cool, kind of exciting. And I don't know exactly when I'll push this live, but I'm going to get it to the point where it matches the current live site. So I'm ready. And then depending on what I feel like, I'm going to either start adding in like all the upvotes and new things, or I might just take it live and add that stuff later. So we'll see on that end. Last thing for today, I guess I can just mention for the future now. So I'm going to do no code list on Friday, and then I'm going to try to be done with no code lists for these live streams. What I'm thinking for the future is two things. One thing is Builder is very close on releasing this very large update, and it's pretty delayed. I mean, not that it was just an internal deadline, but it turned out to be this big and really impressive update. So I really want to focus a lot of time when that goes live to users. We're going to get a big chunk of the early users in at that point. I want to focus on like showing that off, answering questions, doing Builder stuff. And one of the ways I'm going to do that is by creating a style sheet pattern live that at the end, I'll make it publicly available. So like anyone can just use it. So I'll show like how we did everything, why we did everything, what you can do with everything, and then say, here, you can use this. And I think that would be really cool. And that brings me to the second part of what I'm going to try to do, which is make everything more bite-sized. And so what I'll do for that is maybe set like almost like a little mini series. Like I'll say, okay, like for the next 3 times, we're going to do the style sheet, and it'll be self-contained. And so in doing that, I've been thinking what else I can do that way, because I want to work on Joustless a bit live. That has a lot of fun stuff I can show off. And I want to do like a few other, like I have another big project that I haven't even started that I was thinking would be awesome to do live. But also some more self-contained things would be cool too, I think. So if I finish this on Friday and the release isn't ready, which I don't think it will be by that Monday, I might actually do like a little chunk, like a mini series where I redo the yesterday's weather web app. I actually redid the native app and added a bunch of improvements and changed the data, the data API, and forgot to upload I totally just forgot to change the web app. I haven't even looked at it. And the web app, so it might even have errors, but the web app is like a feeder. So it gets a lot of traffic and people see it and they go hopefully buy the native app. So I was thinking it's important for me to redo that, and it's going to be so fast as I'm just mirroring what's in the app. The API is built, like the data is built. So I just pull in two APIs and boom. So that might be fun for next week. So that's what I'm thinking is I'll probably do that. And then depending on the timing, either go into some extra kind of like extra credit Joustless stuff I can do, or be ready to start with some builder stuff. Either way, I'd like to come back to Joustless because that has a couple cool features I want to show off. But we'll see what happens. So main thing is more builder and more impressive builder and more focus so that these aren't so all over the place. So thanks for watching. I'm going to be done now and I'll be back on Friday.